Happy Monday, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Hoops with Noops. Of course, I am Alex Noops Christensen, and as always, I am brought to you by the fine folks at FTN, whether it be FTN Bets, FTN Fantasy, or FTN Data. Again, all coming together soon. Tons of great data and tools, a lot of content. And if you get into that FTN Bets Discord, some great extra picks. All my player props go through there. You get access to a great community of bettors and a lot of other stuff on top of all the wonderful things that you can find through FTN. Take a look at the banner below. There's a little discount code for you there. And of course, always good to have some stuff for free. And you can subscribe to this channel without having to pay anything. Go ahead and subscribe to that channel. Hit the little bell below. Give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate that. The support helps everybody here. Of course, I am here to talk about some hoops, NBA hoops specifically, that is. And this season continues on. Things are really happening here in the NBA. The Denver Nuggets are starting to round into form, playing some of their best basketball of the season, beat the Celtics for a second time here, and the Nuggets now just one game out of the top seed in the Western Conference. Going to be a really tight finish there. Teams like the Clippers starting to fall back a little bit. The Clippers now the fourth seed in the West, just a game ahead of the fifth seed, at risk of having to play their first series on the road. That always makes things a lot tougher. So it's really rough. The Sixers, my Philadelphia 76ers, crashing, as well as the Phoenix Suns, just on the razor's edge of having to play in the play-in tournament and really earn their way into the postseason, as opposed to the guaranteed way they're in now as the sixth seed in their respective conference. Of course, on the other side of the coin, you've got teams like the San Antonio Spurs trying to really manage Victor Wembanyama here so they can hold on to their third worst record in the NBA and keep them in line to have the best odds amongst the other two teams with the worst records in the NBA for the number one pick in the draft. So a lot to unpack, a lot to deal with here. It's really an exciting time. We've got 6 games tonight, 2 that I have bets on, 4 that I'll talk you through and not for noobs, just give you an idea of what I like, what I don't like about them. But again, 2 bets that I'll share here, but a lot more player props coming later. And the only way to see those is in the FTN Bets Discord. Let's get started. The first game up here, the Dallas Mavericks go to visit the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls 4-point underdogs at home. The total here 232.5. The Mavericks really a talented team. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving create a core of an incredible offense, the third best offense in the NBA since the All-Star break. It's really great. There's a lot of shooters around them. PJ Washington has fit nicely. Daniel Gafford has really played well in the minutes without Derek Lively. But the Mavericks have the third worst, not the third best offense, worst defense in the NBA since the All-Star break. A defensive rating of 123 points given up per 100 possessions. Second worst is 119. That is a huge, huge gap. The Mavericks themselves on offense are having a rating of only 119 and a half or so points per 100 possessions. Overall, that's a negative net rating. They are giving up more points than they're scoring to make it as simple as possible. As good as that offense is, the defense is really bad. Jason Kidd has been shuffling lineups around, which is always tough. It makes players uncertain. They don't know what their role is. They're constantly trying to fit together and play with a new group of guys. This is not the kind of change and just uncertainty you want in March, this close to the playoffs. So Dallas really has to figure something out here. And I like the Chicago Bulls tonight. The Bulls have been playing much, much better basketball, as they seem to do every March and April. They are peaking into mediocrity, if you will, as they push for the best position they can have in the play-in tournament and a chance to get waxed by whoever the number 1 or number 2 seed is in the Eastern Conference. But they have a nice starting 5. Kobe White, Ayo Dosunmu, DeMar DeRozan, Nikola Vucevic, playing some really good basketball here. And I'm sorry, I can't quite remember who the 5th name is. My apologies to sorry, just looking through here to get that name. But yeah, the Chicago Bulls here playing some really nice basketball. Really like what they're doing. My apologies, Alex Caruso. I should have remembered that, their 5th player there. But a really nice starting lineup, a lot of ball handling, a lot of shooting, enough good defenders to cover up for the bad defenders. They can really do well, and they play their best against bad defenses. And as I said, this is the worst defense in the NBA, and it's still constantly changing. Defense is where you really see uncertainty hurt the most. Good defense is all about knowing where you're supposed to be, knowing how to play with the guy next to you, having the switches correct, having the scheme basically figured out. So We really continue to see it night and night again. And the Bulls, I believe, can keep this game close. A good enough defense to slow down the Mavericks. And with the defense so poor for Dallas, the Bulls have been able to score enough points to keep this game close. I have this a 1-point game. I mean, still Dallas favored, but 1 point, not close to the 4 really that we have a chance to grab here now. I think even some 4.5s maybe by the time you see this. It started to move against me a little bit, but not in a big way. Again, anything +4 or better looks pretty good in a game that I only make one. I think the Bulls are live tonight. So give me the points with Chicago. The second game here, the Toronto Raptors go to visit the aforementioned Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets 14.5-point favorites with a total of 231.5. One of the bigger spreads we've seen this year, and especially in the last couple of weeks where scoring is down and spreads are starting to tighten. But Denver, incredible team, really good at home, should be able to do whatever they want against this Toronto team. But are we going to get the Nuggets' best effort? We see time and time again, Denver understand the value of rest, not only resting their stars and better players for the postseason, but also opening up more minutes and more of a chance to see what the backups can do. It gives a chance to see what these guys are capable of in longer stretches. So that God forbid somebody to get hurt, you know what you can rely on, and they have some experience. It won't be their first time this season deep into the playoffs playing 20, 30 minutes when they're needed. So games like this are a good opportunity to get those guys some chances. We've also seen the Nuggets really slow the pace in these games, really kind of grind them out, which again gives them the best chance of winning. It's really good for them. They can keep staying in control of this game, monitor their players. But Toronto is a really, really rough team here. As big as this number is, no Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickly, and Gary Trent Jr. listed as questionable, and no Jakob Poeltl. Barnes is their best player. Poeltl is the only big man really with the size to do anything against Jokic in the post. Again, not that anybody can guard Nikola Jokic, and not really that Poeltl can, but at least he can kind of stay in front of him and keep from getting bullied underneath the basket. Barnes, again, the best player, really the straw that stirs the drink here for the Raptors. Gary Trent Jr., their best shooter. Emmanuel Quickly, their best guard. I don't see how the Raptors are going to score points tonight. I have them scoring 104, 105 points, and their team total is 107.5. Again, best offensive players are out. It's going to put a lot of burden on RJ Barrett. I'm not really sure how he's going to be able to turn this offense into anything and really generate positivity against a defense in Denver that's good and against a team in the Nuggets that are trying to play slowly here. It's going to be a slow game, not a lot of possession. So barring some sort of absurd shooting, which again, that's me knocking on wood. Hopefully I didn't just jinx myself with some sort of 30 for 45 night from the Raptors from 3 or something goofy like that. I just don't see how they get to 105, let alone 107.5 points. So give me the team total under here for the Toronto Raptors. Now, not for Noops. 4 more games. And as always, I don't have bets here, but just want to try to give you an understanding really of what these games looks like. And if you want to read more, I offer more thoughts and more projections in the written version of Hoops for Noops, which you can always find at FTN Bets. And I always tweet out for free as well. And you can find me on Twitter at _Noops. So check out the written version now. But for now, a terrible basketball game. The Charlotte Hornets go to play the Detroit Pistons. The Pistons 3.5-point favorites, the total 215.5. Detroit has lost enough games where they can actually push here late in the season to try to win. And that's what they've been doing. It makes sense. Monty Williams is trying to save his job. You've got a young team that really needs to learn how to win. And as someone that was a process Sixers fan, I know what happens when you continue to let these guys play losing basketball. You have to try to win these games, and you have to try to push late, especially with kind of their position as one of the worst 3 records in the league set in. The Pistons can afford to try to win these games. And they're a better roster here than Charlotte that's pretty beat up. The Hornets should be trying to lose games as well. They're just 2 games behind San Antonio for that 3rd spot. Again, that gives you some of the best odds possible to get the number 1 pick. But in true Charlotte fashion, they have been sabotaging their chances of being a better basketball team. They continue to win games. And again, it's good for the young guys to try, but now is the time to lose some of these games. It's a tough spot. I make Detroit favorite. I would actually probably bet them maybe on some alt spreads. I just think overall it's a team trying to win against a team that really shouldn't be. And Charlotte is a little bit of a worse roster at this point, but I'm not betting this game. It's a mess. Phoenix Suns go to visit the Cleveland Cavaliers. This would be a nice spot to back Cleveland at home. Now, the Cavaliers are without Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, but they've shown us time and time again, as long as they have one of their 2 big guards, and they do in Darius Garland, and one of their 2 big men, one of whom is Jared Allen, both will be on the floor tonight. Cleveland is a formidable opponent at home, but They played last night and lost to the Brooklyn Nets by 19 points. Maybe a bit of a look ahead to this spot. Maybe we saw a down effort from Cleveland last night and they play their best tonight. I'm not counting on that, and I don't know how you can. Phoenix gets Devin Booker tonight, and we know how much better of a team they are when they have all three of those guys together. It really unlocks even more potential. Defenses can work with two good ball handlers, shooter creators, but three, that's almost impossible. There's just not enough players on defense to slow them down. So Phoenix should be a ruthlessly efficient offense tonight with all three guys back. As good as Cleveland's been at home here, I actually have Phoenix favored by a little bit more than this. So I'm going to pass on this game. It's a tough spot here. I really don't trust Phoenix on the road. And again, Cleveland can ugly this game up and maybe find a way to keep it close. And who knows? Maybe, again, last night was a little bit of a look ahead tonight, but I'm just not betting on this game. Golden State Warriors lost to the San Antonio Spurs 2 days ago. Tonight, they go to San Antonio to be 4.5-point favorites. The Spurs played a really great game. Didn't have Victor Wembanyama, didn't have Devin Vassell. Their two best players last game were almost 13-point underdogs, but won the game by 13 points themselves. So the spread was right, just for the wrong team, I guess. It was an weird game, a bad game for Golden State. Stephen Curry is out here for the short term. We don't know when he's going to be back, but it's the understanding that it's going to be it's going to be weeks, not months. He should be back sooner than later with an ankle injury there. Golden State obviously limited without him. He is not only one of the best players in the NBA, but clearly the best and most important player on this Golden State team. So you go from Golden State at home, same squad, 12.5-point favorites, to San Antonio here. The Spurs now 4.5-point underdogs. That's a big adjustment, but I don't know if it should be that big. Again, Wembanyama's back, Vassell's back. This is a much better Spurs team. The Spurs really don't get a pickup for home court. It's a nice stadium. They get some support, but it's not that big of a deal. So I only have maybe a 2-point adjustment for the change in venue. And then the rest, you're looking at about 7.5, almost 8 points. That's pretty big. I don't necessarily know if that's kind of the right number here. So I struggle to see what to do with this game. I make it pretty close to the number. I'm going to pass on this. And then the final game tonight, we have no idea what's going to happen. The Boston Celtics are in Portland. They're 8.5-point favorites. The total's at 217. And I guess books have to hang a number because that's what they do. But we know Kristaps Porzingis is out. Jaylen Brown is questionable. Jason Tatum is questionable. Derek White is questionable. And Jrue Holiday is questionable. If you've been paying attention this season, you will recognize that group as the starting five for the Boston Celtics. If all five of them are out, you could make a case Portland should be favored. I mean, we're looking at a Boston lineup: Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard, Al Horford, O'Shea Brissett. Just some really, really rough players out there. I just don't know what they do. Xavier Tillman, probably the fifth man there as well. I mean, is that really a better lineup than, say, what you're looking at with Portland in Scoot Henderson, Anthony Simons, Jeremy Grant, DeAndre Ayton, and, whoever they're using as their fourth guy at this point? It's really just been a rotating cast there in Portland. Too many Kamara, really the guy they've been using the most, but I don't know if that's a worse starting lineup. I just don't know what to make of this game. Now, where the price is and how it's been bet all day, I expect we'll see one of Brown and Tatum, one of Jrue and Derek White. So if that's the case, this number makes sense to me. If not, maybe Portland should be favored. I have no idea. It's just kind of a messy game. But the two games I do like, again, we'll touch on the Chicago Bulls +4 at home against the Mavericks. I think they can score just enough against a bad defense and keep this game close. Give me the 4 points with the Bulls. The Toronto Raptors, team total under 107.5. They go visit the Denver Nuggets, who should play a slow, ugly game, really good defense. And without all their best offensive players, I just struggle to see how the Raptors are going to score. Should be a really ugly spot for Toronto. But thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, be sure to sign up for FTN. All the best stuff really through there. Again, data, content, tools, access to the Discord, where, again, I'll be putting all my player props. I tweeted some of them out the other day, but I only really share those in the Discord. So if you want access to all that, make sure you get in and use that discount code clicking down there on the bottom. Thanks again for your support. Really appreciate it. Subscribe to this channel. Give me a thumbs up. And if you have any questions or comments, put them down below in the comment section. I'll get back to you ASAP. Again, Hoops with Noops. I'll be back in written form on Tuesday. We'll have a surprise Wednesday Hoops with Noops as a makeup for some spots I missed last week. And again, just chugging along here. Lots of great stuff. Best of luck until we talk again.